Disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on this show by the host do not necessarily state or reflect those of the channel. Furthermore, the views and opinions of the guests do not reflect those of the host and the channel. Thank you. Enjoy the show.
Classes are yet to resume at the Tshwane University of Technology.
To say that it can't be business as usual when our students are not receiving their allowances, when our students are home and they are hungry and have not received their allowances. We're saying that it can't be business as usual. People can't go to class when our students are hungry. It can't be correct when our students are tired, put them assignments and learn, but they are hungry. It can't be correct that we're in a university that we're trying to profit over the money of students completely. Wherever he goes, and wherever he goes, I want to make sure that we whisper in his ear. So when I got to that event, it was at Mamelodi TVET College. There was an opening of a program that speaks to employment and other issues. When I got there, I was never allowed to enter. When I got there. So when I got there, the police identified me as a security threat in that program of the minister. So I could not enter, but I'm happy that comrades were inside and they did demonstrate. There was a demonstration that was made in the event.
So you're a security threat?
No, I'm not. I'm a student leader. And that is what I said to those police. That, but you're treating me like a criminal. I'm not a criminal.
I'm on that run, I'm feeling extra motivated. I'm on my grind, Lord bless them if they hate it. I'm on that run.
Welcome to another episode of Culture Spotlight. We're back here. We're at the residentials, the TUT, Masike, because we're trying to shine a spotlight on an issue that's been ongoing, and it's something that's affecting our peers, our communities. And if it's not us coming forth and shining a spotlight on it, then who? If not now, then when? So I'm chilling with the SRC, Kamohelo Masike, once again.
Yeah.
I think now he's a friend, he's a brother in arms.
Yes.
Are you good, my brother?
No, I'm trying, man. I'm trying.
What are you trying? Hey, I see you shaking up everything.
We're trying to agitate the establishment. And this is precisely informed by the fact that it can't be business as usual. When people want to undermine the fact that a black child remains, a tool that you can't undermine a black child, and black people historically they've always been used as people that are better seen to be exploited. So I think that it can't be business as usual when our own brothers and sisters are exploited by the establishment.
So let's get to the nitty-gritty of everything. So what's Izaka and why is it an issue?
Look, Izaka is a fly-by-night company of friends that,
But then what is it? Like, what is Izaka? Is it an institution, a financial
institution? It's a financial bank. It's a financial bank.
So same as your time banks and
yeah, it's a financial bank that was just established 2 weeks ago. There's no reputation. There's no credible track record that we can use to identify them. So the reason people don't even know Izaka is because we don't know them. It's a bank that was just recently established 2 weeks ago.
Was it established specifically to administer funds for students? What was it?
It was precisely established for the tender that NSFAS appointed last year. I think they got appointed. I think it was June, if my facts are clear. Because of this corruption that they're saying that they're trying to cap in institutions of higher learning. So precisely, the bank was established for that, to remove a third party, to bring NSFAS closer to processes and etc. But we've realized that we remember, and I think I must state it categorically here, that we were never against the idea. Because, look, universities have always been implicated in the process. There's corruption, people don't want to be held accountable, there's money that just disappears, the allocations of resources that are just allocated, and people are not held accountable, people are not going to prison for that. So we never had a problem with the idea. But now we've realized that no, but this was not necessarily to curb corruption. Actually, it has brought back another form of corruption. You understand? In a form of a formal way, a nice way, that you will not be able to even see that it's corruption. It's institutionalized form of corruption. So the bank was established for that tender process of those grounds and facts that NSFAS alluded to the public.
So what would we say, like, it's the main issue here with the bank? In as much as it was established, if it is an institution that's established and it's working, I wouldn't see an issue with it.
Look,
with how old it is and whatnot.
Look, the guidelines of NSFAS have always been clear. That as a pre-requirement, students must have a financial personal bank that they identify themselves with. So students have been using their own banks, so likes of your Capitec, your Absa, and they've always been fine with them. They've never complained that, look, my bank is giving me issues when it comes to my allowance. But now we're saying that you are bringing a bank that is bringing us problems now. Money is disappearing in this very same bank. Students, when they are receiving their allowances, a debit order is there. But contrary, when the students go to the app, the money is no longer there. So we ask ourselves, but what is this thing? Because students are receiving money, but in the bank, there's no money. Or there's money, but it's not paid in full. And let me just make a practical example. Students get 1,650 as a meal allowance that must assist them to survive on a monthly basis. When it enters the bank, surprisingly now it's 14 rand. It's no longer 1,650. So students now
from 1,000 to 14 rand.
Yes. So students now they want to. They're asking that, but I just saw my 1,650 entering. But now when I go to my app, the money is not there. So who must be held accountable for it? And those are the critical questions that we're asking, to say, but we don't have a problem, Tina, with banks. We're not obsessed. That bank B, bank A. We don't have a problem. But we're saying that there are glitches here. And the people that are supposed to be coming on board to assist in perhaps giving us an insight of the processes of the bank, and I've cited it that orientation processes were not done, and it becomes difficult for us to assist our students now because we are not informed of the whole system and etc. So it becomes difficult for us to even answer some of the difficult questions students are asking. So we say we want to hold people accountable. We want to hold the Minister of Higher Education, Dr. Nzimande, accountable. We've written to the Public Protector seeking intervention. We've written to Parliament, the Portfolio Committee on Higher Education, seeking intervention. We've submitted a memorandum of concerns to the Office of the President, because now we're realizing that, but we're working with a studio capital who masquerades as a socialist cadre. So we're dealing with criminals, and we're saying that we're not going to agree to the fact that people want to exploit our students and the vulnerable.
So why are you seeking the audience specifically of Blade? Because there's the student body, the
reason why we're seeking for Blade Nzimande's attention, it is because he presides over the sector.
Yeah.
And whenever there's a crisis, we believe that the minister must be able to assist us in guiding us in how we must move forward.
Yeah.
And we understand that this process is outside the perimeters of our universities. Universities can't take a decision that pertains to this crisis. So I've cited it that we've exhausted all internal discussions with officials of our universities seeking intervention, and they failed to assist us in the process. And we've also requested that our principal and vice chancellor also assist us in getting that face-to-face meeting with the minister, because you understand that this came as an instruction from his office.
Yeah.
Yes.
So now, any progress in terms of that? Because I think you've been on a march since last week. It's the second week right now. No?
Yes.
There's been a march. There's been students trying to get their attention. Is there any progress in terms of that?
No, there's no progress.
Is there any form of communications that has been made?
There's no progress. We are dealing with a minister that is childish.
In that, I wanted to ask, currently, do you guys have the support of the VC, or you still working in different lanes? Because as you've alluded, you are saying that you know that this came as an instruction in his office. But then if it came as an instruction, he can have the same view that you guys have. Meaning he's willing to support you guys fully. What is his stance currently on this matter?
The challenge now is that there's no sign of commitment shown from the VC as well. Either through a letter to acknowledge the grievances that students are confronting on the ground.
Yeah.
We've been in a protest like how you are citing it now. But the VC is not either in a communication.
Yeah, that was
to say we acknowledge as the People's University that this is a crisis, and we are trying to work together jointly with student leaders in seeing how we best address these matters in university. So there's no sign of commitment from even our principal, and that is saddening. And that is why we are saying that we've taken the protest outside the university, but we want to make sure that the gates remain closed, because it can't be business as usual. People can't go to work as if there's no crisis that must be given attention. So the gates of the university must remain closed while we are trying to get the attention of the minister. So there's no sign of commitment. The VC has not called the student leadership either in a meeting to say that I've heard on social media or in a newspaper saying that you are requesting my office to assist you in a meeting with the minister.
Yeah.
We've not sat in that discussion with our principal.
And where's NSFAS in all of this?
NSFAS, they are arrogant. Those comrades are very arrogant.
Yeah.
And they are seated in Cape Town, drinking water in their offices and enjoying Wi-Fi.
So, because I would assume it is NSFAS that actually took the initiative to
they are the custodian of the scheme. Yeah.
So, they should be in the forefront of this issue.
Correct.
And actually making sure that the services that they deployed is actually delivered.
Correct. And that is why we're saying that we are dealing with criminals. All of them, they are criminals. All of them. And we're going to cite it. We're not scared of anything.
Yeah.
They are criminals, because if they were responsible in approach, they were supposed to say that we acknowledge as well as the custodian that there's a crisis. Perhaps the people that were entrusted to facilitate this process were not really capacitated, like how maybe perhaps they have presented themselves to us as the custodian of the scheme. That's a responsible statement, by the way, coming from if you say you are acknowledging, that's those are utterances that we would have been expecting by now. But they are deploying a spokesperson that speaks a lot of English, and he does not want to also acknowledge the fact that there's a crisis in the sector. And that is why we're saying that we're dealing with criminals, because the reason why we're saying they are criminals, it is precisely because we've been informed that they also have business relationship with the people who were appointed in the tender. The CEO of NSFAS, there's a business link or a business relationship that links him with one of the companies that were appointed. And that is why I was saying that this is a friends like this type of an arrangement. And they will not want to come on board or be in the front line of actually disclosing that indeed there's a crisis and we ought to amicably resolve some of these concerns that universities, by the way, are raising, student leaders and students in general.
So NSFAS is quiet, TUT is quiet. Izaka, is it speaking up?
The CEO is a criminal. Actually, not the CEO. The founder is a criminal. He made a statement that we are giving them problems.
They say you are giving them problems.
Yeah.
But then they are not acknowledging
they are not acknowledging that as a financial institution, why indeed having a problem. And that what informs the allegations or our utterances to say that it remains a financial bank that is not credible. We don't want it. And we're saying that it will not be business as usual up until universities, and our universities exempted from this VPS type of an arrangement.
You're saying it's not an accredited?
It's not a credible financial bank.
Oh, I thought you were saying accredited financial institution.
So let me ask you this question. We know that NSFAS doesn't only assist students who are in TUT. It also assists students from other institutions, meaning this program is likely being implemented in other institutions as well.
Sure.
What are the stances of other institutions regarding this matter? Have you guys tried to reach out to them and check if they are satisfied with the Ezaga application?
Okay. No, I think student leaders across universities are trying their utmost best to address these challenges because it affects directly their constituents. So I'll not say that student leaders in universities are quiet, but we must also have an appreciation that they are working against institutions that are also implicated in the process. Remember, universities are also implicated. When 14 million was allocated to a student, it was not a bank. It was not a bank, but it was officials in the institution. So I will not want to say that student leaders are not doing anything. I think they are trying their utmost best. And if you can check, UFS today is closed. TUT, of course, we are closed. University of Pretoria. They are also saying that we are confronted with the very same issue. TUT. They are saying that we are confronted with the very same issue. Unive. So student leaders across universities, we must have an appreciation that they are trying to say that we have a problem, but we must also have an appreciation that the status quo of universities are not the same, and they are different. And the formula that universities also use to intimidate student leaders is not the same. So history has always taught us that whenever there's a crisis, student leaders are always suspended in the process. And maybe perhaps some of our comrades are scared to say, but because they are scared of suspension and other things. So when I was saying that even if I can wake up being suspended tomorrow, actually I'll be able to sleep nice in peace because I know that I've never committed a crime in the university. But I've stood firm in the struggles of those that I lead to say that it can't be business as usual. You can't be calling me in meetings to discuss nothing when those that I'm leading are saying that we're confronted with issues. So I'm saying that if I can wake up being expelled or suspended, I don't have a problem. I'll actually sleep better, nice, in peace, because I know that I will have been taken out precisely because I'm agitating the system.
So you mentioned that Blade is a socialist, a very well-known socialist.
Capitalist.
I'm getting to that. We know that he's a socialist by virtue of him being a leader of the SAPC, right? Now, yourself as a socialist, as I've seen, along with your utterances and the regalia that you wear, what would you say to him on a personal level, from one socialist to another socialist, from one leader to another leader, in terms of how he's managing this whole situation?
I want to say to Blade, he's misleading. He masquerades as a socialist while he eats dinner with capitalists. And I'm not going to agree. I want to point it out that the chairperson of the SACP is misleading society by portraying a socialist approach to matters, but that's not the reality. It's actually a misleading approach. So I'm saying to him now, he must come out clear and actually be honest that indeed he is swallowed by the system and he must resign. And that is what I'm saying to him. He must resign. The minister must resign. He must leave that office. And I think one thing that we're going to do now, I want to write to the General Secretary of the party, because maybe perhaps in governance there's a protocol that governance there's a protocol, but now we're taking it political as well and organizational. I want to write to the General Secretary complaining about the national chair of the organization, that but it can't be when students, black students, are saying we're having issues and Blade wants to sit in his office and not attend to some of these issues. So it's not a personal fight, and it must not be interpreted as if we have an agenda, because I know Blade's approach is very arrogant. I must cite it. It's not a personal attack. It's a responsibility that you have a line of duty. You have a responsibility, you have a task as a minister. See that whenever your kitchen is burning, you must come and be able to address those issues. And unfortunately, he's not doing that. So it's not a political, it's not a personal vendetta. It must not. Must not be misinterpreted. No. You don't have any interest in personal relationships.
As you were speaking about the criminality, you've cited that you are making intentions of opening a criminal case against.
We've done it. We've opened the case. We've received the case number. And we're taking them to court because this is money laundering.
Also, those are the charges.
Those are the charges of corruption. Because there's proof. Remember, these allegations are not informed by these utterances that are not substantiated by facts. We have proof. We've submitted bank statements. We've submitted transactional transcripts of students that actually affirm what we are saying. To say money is disappearing in this bank and no one wants to be held accountable. So these are not just allegations, because we're trying to be we're not populists. We're saying that there is proof. Students on a daily basis are raising these concerns and they are bringing that tangible proof to us. And I can tell you now, we do have a strong case and we're going to hold people accountable. People are going to go to prison, by the way.
In saying that, it means you're dealing with a very critical case. We've seen, along with when revolutions come and go, as revolutions occur, that normally people at the forefront of any revolution, they tend to be the people who are mostly suppressed during that revolution and mostly taken out of the picture because of their radicality in the process. Because I know for sure that we now have a structure of the ANC Youth League, and I'm puzzled by the fact that they are also seeing this and they are not saying anything about it. What is your approach in lobbying them? That would be the second question. And my first question would be, if ever this revolution will occur, do you think you'll still be around? And if ever you won't be around, who will be able to continue with this revolution?
We are leading this revolution national, and we're not going to stop.
Sorry to stop you. What do you mean by around? Around dead or around as in like?
As in like it could be expelled, as is mentioned, or around dead. It's the reality of politics, and I think you also know it.
I think as a revolutionary, an appreciation that we always have as activists is that we've died long ago. So people must not, be surprised when they wake up tomorrow and I'm dead. I've died long ago as a revolutionary because I'm embedded in the struggle that affects those that I lead. And we also have an understanding of the system that we are working against. So I'm citing it to say that it's not personal, but it can lead to a point that tomorrow I wake up and perhaps maybe I'm assassinated for just to be frank and honest.
Yeah.
But people must not deter from the revolution. They must continue. They must take it from where we've left it and move forward, because the struggle continues. It does not stop, because now I'm no longer there.
Yeah.
You understand? Students must continue the revolution up until grievances are given full attention. And in the process of lobbying, of course, we have a national structure. We have an appreciation that there's a president that has been elected. We have confidence in the president. I must cite it. We have confidence that the newly elected president
Of the Youth League.
Okay. Will be able to assist us moving forward. And we are indeed calling upon the assistance necessary, of course, in trying to fight the enemy, because we need strength in all corners. We don't want to fight as if we are capacitated. We are not. We are calling upon the assistance. So I'm saying that the Youth League is not Shigamachiga. It's not Gem Ali, where people must go and dance because they have an obsession of positions and proximity to leaders, precisely those of the ANC. We're not. And I've cited it before, that contesting the Congress, the president as well, I'm saying it, he must not have an approach that he wants proximity to ANC leadership and those that are contesting Congress, because we're in a struggle. So we are indeed calling upon the assistance of the Youth League, the president and his collective, and all other necessary. We also have a structure of SASC. We're calling upon the president as well to leave his dining room and come on the ground and assist us, because we are led by those comrades who were elected in those structures. And unfortunately now, we are not seeing any sign of commitment either from them as well. Which I must cite it without any fear or favor of anyone. That we are not seeing anything. They're not coming on the ground. But I believe moving forward, if we work together, we can be able to address these concerns that affect our constituents.
Because knowing the militancy of the ANC Youth League from its history, mostly during the years of Julius Malema, a famously known socialist of note. So, what would you say now in lobbying support from the ANC Youth League?
I'm saying we must have an appreciation of those that came before us, agitated the system, and actually made an impact. And I'm citing it that this is not a political agenda where people must have a position that is political in trying to address these concerns. And I think in the revolution, if you checked in the picket lines, it was student leaders coming from different political organizations. And I've cited it that because we're politically mature, this must not be a political agenda. And I must condemn the president of the EFF that he must not be in a petty contest to please his leaders. Because he wants to behave like a toddler in approaching this matter. This is not a political matter. It's not an EFF matter. It's not an ANC Youth League matter. But it's a national struggle. And I think exercising the highest level of political maturity in trying to address this matter, we are going to achieve. And I think the former president of the Youth League, Julius, cites it that for people to get water, it must not be that it's the ANC that delivers water. But if the ANC and the EFF have an agreement that indeed the people of Hammanskraal must have water, it must be a collective decision that is taken to deliver service delivery. So service delivery now is the exemption and the total removal of these companies from the system, so that our students can be able to receive their money.
Oh, okay. Now, when it comes to the students, how are they receiving this matter? Because we know that not everyone will participate in the revolution. There are those that feel like they are fine, they can pay for their own studies, and there are those that just don't want to be at the forefront, yet they don't understand the current dynamics. What do you have to say to those?
I'm saying students must stop watching Netflix and TikTok because it's not going to assist us. They must come to the picket lines. And I remember in one of the meetings that we've been trying to speak about this matter was that this revolution, by the way, students are going to lead it themselves.
Yeah.
And I can tell you now, students have come to the picket lines themselves. Students are the ones who are saying, but it can't be business as usual when we have these issues and people want to politic this concerns. So students are in the picket lines, and we are still calling for them to say that come and assist us, let's be on the streets and let's work together in addressing some of these issues.
And seeing that South Africa is currently in a very race politics.
Yeah.
It's the race politics are very rampant, and I would assume that also I was looking at the videos of the marches and I was not seeing the other race, and I'm wondering if it's not an issue to them or if this only affects black people.
I'm saying the truth must be spoken without any fear or favor. White people are enjoying privileges in our universities. Their parents are stakeholders. Their parents have shares in our universities. And history has no blank pages. They are not affected with some of these issues that affect black students. And it must not be a racial matter when we emphasize on the black students that we are saying that black students are affected, because it might create that racial division to say that, but why is he not speaking about white? We're saying that in terms of numbers, statistics are telling us that the majority that are affected are black students. So it's not a racial matter. If there are white people, by the way, want to come and join the picket lines, they are more than welcome to come and join us and assist us, because we are not racial, we're not racists. We're not racists. We're not racists. So white people can join us if they feel that the struggle that speaks to black people who are the most affected is genuine and needs support. We're calling for those white people to come and join us. But we're saying that this is not a racial matter. And we're not going to beg any white person to either sympathize with us, because we know them. We know their character, we know their nature, that they don't sympathize with blacks. They've never done that. We're not calling for their sympathy. By the way, I must cite it as well. But we're saying that if they are genuine in approach, they can come in the picket lines and assist us as black people.
Be it white people, be it anyone who's not even affected.
Coloreds,
be it somebody
Indians,
who's even not outside or not even
affected. They can come in the revolution and assist us moving forward.
So when is the next march? And
before answering this question, because I think you can cover them together, ne? I remember there was a Fees Must Fall strike in 2016. I was amongst part of the people who were participating in that. And I can tell that as much as a revolution can affect academic calendars, among other things, I feel it is important, because like myself, I'm taking myself as a case study. I initially didn't have NSFAS. My father was trying to cover the studies, the fees, of which he only managed to cover some of it. Then after that match, there was a bit of change. More learners were accommodated when it comes to funding, when funding was concerned. So in all of this, what I'm saying is that, are you guys also planning to go to the parliament, strike to the march to the parliament, as the learners or the generation that came before us did in 2016, when they went to parliament to march for free education? Because it's still a relevant campaign, free education.
I think we are in a Fees Must Fall season 3 now.
Yeah.
Yes. And the reason why I'm saying that, we have projected that if this matter is not addressed with an approach of taking responsibility, we are citing that there was an issue of access to accommodation. And after the revolution, things started opening up. People were given beds. However, even we are still saying that they remain they are commodified because we still have issues that pertain to the bed issue. Yeah. I'm saying now, let us not undermine the fact that NSFAS wants to centralize everything. For now, they've made a pronouncement of meal allowance, but they've also appointed companies to deal with accreditation. So I'm saying we're in a season 3 of Fees Must Fall, because come 2024, you might have another fly-by-night company who will be given a responsibility to deal with accommodation, and they've not disclosed it. And I'm giving you this task as well. Go into your research. There's no formal company that is registered to deal with accreditation in the country. There was no. It's universities have been dealing with that process. So now they've made a pronouncement of meal allowance, and people are saying they are meal allowance. But they've also made a pronouncement on accommodation. Come 2024, you might be having the very same issue that a company from the bushes is given that responsibility, and that one is going to be a massive revolution, because students will be homeless, students won't be having access to beds, students will be frustrated because now there's also the issue of defunding that also excludes those students to have that opportunity to have a bed. I'm saying now, NSFAS is blundering. They are blundering. They are creating a mess. Come 2024, when those companies are brought forward, that these are the companies that were appointed to deal with accreditation, a lot of students won't be having beds. And that revolution will be the one that will be leading us to Mahlabandluf, to the president's house. Parliament is far. I went to the president's house, and students in their majority will be chanting outside the president's house, demanding access to those beds. Because I'm saying now, remember now it's Izaka.
Yeah, it's.
And I'm just broadening the discussion, and I'm trying to make people understand that this is not only about meal allowance, but there's a pronouncement made as well that speaks to accommodation. That for companies who are appointed to deal with accommodation, and the process is taken out of the universities. For now, students are still complaining about meal allowance. Come 2024, many students will be homeless, and that revolution is going to put the country on the spin speed.
Yeah, I was asking about the next march.
Tomorrow, we're going back to the police station. Okay. We have an appointment there.
Yeah.
Gates.
Tomorrow being Monday, guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gates are closed.
Yeah.
We're calling upon all comrades, activists in our universities, that gates must close.
Yeah.
All universities, gates must close up until.
By all universities, TUT, UP.
All of them in the country. Actually, now I'm calling for a national shutdown of all institutions in the country. Because we're having a serious problem that must be dealt with as a collective.
Yeah.
So let's work together. Let's close universities and let us go to court to appeal that there's a problem in NSFAS. There are issues that must be dealt with, and people must go to jail. And up until that is resolved, and up until the minister called for that meeting, gates must close, and gates in TUT are closed.
Anything you want to ask?
Yeah, I saw you put up a status when Blade was talking. On the day, did you guys manage to whisper in something in his ear, or he just went off and pretended as if he saw nothing?
When I got there.
What status? Wait, context, please.
Okay, the president, being Keamogetswe, he put up a status
saying,
on the status, Blade Nzimande, the current Minister of Higher Education, he was giving a, I think, keynote address somewhere. They went there, they followed him, and then they chanted, he must cut off the Ezaga system.
Okay.
so that they no longer have to
So
deal
they
with
ambushed
Izaka. Basically, they ambushed him for in the event.
I think I said it, that it's been difficult to get his attention.
Yeah.
And we are going to look for him wherever he goes. And wherever he goes, we are going to make sure that we whisper in his ear. So when I got to that event, it was at Mamelodi TVET College. There was an opening of a program that speaks to employment and other issues. When I got there, I was never allowed to enter. When I got there. So when I got there, the police identified me as a security threat in that program of the minister. So I could not enter, but I'm happy that comrades were inside and they did demonstrate. There was a demonstration that was made in the event.
So you're a security threat?
No, I'm not. I'm a student leader. And that is what I said to those police. That, but you're treating me like a criminal. I'm not a criminal. Why are you behaving as if I'm a criminal? I have a criminal record and other issues. I'm a student leader. And I'm here to seek attention of the minister. So unfortunately, because you know how the state behaves, I was not allowed to enter that event. But there was a demonstration that was made there. And the minister, I can tell you now in good faith, saw the demonstration and he saw that it's not going to be business as usual up until he comes to address some of those issues.
Anything you want to say in closing, and who are we calling out to, and what should students do starting from today moving on forward?
It's not going to be business as usual. We are calling upon the minister. We are calling upon the president of the country to actually fire him now, because if you are not performing in your line of duty, why are you there?
Sure.
So I'm calling upon the president of the country to check his cabinet member, Plate Nzimande, and actually call him into order. And the president himself must try and assist us, because we can't afford another standstill in the sector.
Sure.
Because we take pride in our universities, and I think we remain the biggest proponent of access and success. And we are not going to do anything that seeks to hinder the progress that has been registered by our universities, which speak to academic activities. Academic activities must find expression, and we're not going to do anything to compromise that. And that is why we've appealed with NSFAS that we see that this is a reckless decision. Pause it for now, because it has a potential element of causing a crisis. And now we are in that crisis because people did not want to listen to us when we advised them. So I don't think we would have been where we are today if they listened to us. When we said, pause this thing, let's discuss this thing, what's what here, and how are we going to make sure that this does not impact negatively in the sector. What is the sector? It's the stability of universities. We are calling upon the stability of universities. We are calling upon resignation of officials who do not want to take responsibility and accountability to issues that affect students and primary stakeholders of the institution. So I'm saying that now, moving forward, we're calling upon the president of the country, calling upon the public protector, we're calling upon the general secretary of the party to call order on the national chairperson. We're calling all necessary support from the leadership itself to address issues that speak to the crisis that is prevailing in our universities. And moving forward, I want to make sure that we're not going to compromise anything. I want to make sure that people are not going to work to drink water, but they must come on the ground and assist students.
So we see that the call-outs, but what should students do from now on?
Students now, because we're approaching the end of the academic year, students must study. But you can't study in an empty stomach.
Okay, that's another issue.
You can't. So students must just be patient in the process, but they must come in the picket lines. And we're calling upon the suspension of academic activities up until we've resolved on the matter, because we don't want a situation where come 2024, students are academically excluded students are financially excluded because universities were arrogant in approach, prioritizing
A calendar.
a calendar. You can't prioritize a calendar when there's a crisis. So let's pause the calendar. It's not a problem. Let's deal with the issue. But students must just work with us, join the picket lines, and we're going to make sure that come 2024, no one is left behind.
Thank you for gracing us with your presence once again, my brother.
No, thanks, brother.
And for sharing the little and much wisdom that you have.
Sure.
Also, always be willing to speak to us at all times.
Sure. No, thanks, my friend.
Any way you want to close it off? I know you're a busy man. I've been hearing your phone ping all the time.
Yeah.
But I know we appreciate it.
Yes.
I'm gonna let you go now.
No.
Safety.
Yeah.
We'll come back once again
Yes.
with another issue arises because we are here to shine the spotlight on everything
Sure.
that matters and everything that affects our peers affects us.
Sure.
So we'll have more conversations and
Be safe.
Sure.
be safe because that you're out just being.
No, I'm safe, man. I'm safe.
But yeah, man.
Yeah.
We out.
Yeah. No, thanks. No, thanks, Tidas.